Utilizing all of your resources. Get help, and by help I mean anybody. Call a friend, call a family member. Come to one of these things. Educate yourself on fear. Hopefully I've done some of that for you tonight already about just what it is and why it happens and what happens when fear does come about. Anything you can do to help yourself and utilize your resources. It's amazing to me when you open up to something and you kind of request that kind of energy. It goes back to your focus. What is it that you really want? And when you're open to the receptivity of those things coming to you, all of a sudden you realize, oh, this guy I've known for 10 years does this fantastic work, and it relates directly to whatever. You know, maybe he can build websites, for example. I've never had a website. I always wanted one, been talking about it for 2 years. Now I find out my best friend is a web designer on the side. Oh my gosh, and these little tidbits just keep flying in when you're open to it. But you've got to be open. You've got to kind of say to the universe, bring it. You know, what resources can you provide? Because everything's there. Everything you need is out there, or in here, one or the other. And it starts in here, but the external resources come too. Community support is a big one, and particularly with economic times, because you can find people in this economy that are hurting in all walks of life. I mean, whether it's somebody that's got a 401k plan that now kind of looks like a 201k, or somebody that's actually lost their job, or somebody that was looking for a job and now knows that they're not going to find one for a long time. Either they don't have the qualifications, or there aren't enough of them, they're just, the competition is too tight, whatever. Getting together in community, whether it be coming, again, to something like this, or if there's a support group that you like, or just getting together if you've got a big family, or even a small family, just get together and talk about stuff, open up about it. Communication is a huge healing modality, if you will. And while you're doing that, if you can find the silver lining in any situation, no matter how difficult or uncomfortable that situation may be, there is a silver lining. And it may not seem like much at the time that you think of it. It might seem like a really small part. But if you can focus, again, on the small part, what are the good things here? What is my next step? Even if it's only one step in front of you, focus on that, rather than on what's back there or what you're stuck in. And that's where you're going to go. You're going to move out of it. So find that silver lining. And find 2 silver linings. Maybe there's a bunch of them in there. Just try and be grateful as much as you can for what you do have, things that are in your life. Very, very powerful. Something I want to go back to here. Angela mentioned earlier that she spent a great amount of time in Niger, Africa. And I called her and I said, can I use you a little bit? Can I use some of your stories in my talk? And she said, yeah, go to my blog and check all this. And she's got great pictures on there, and she describes things really well. And I read the blog about where they built your house. That was really cool. And the thing that actually stuck with me was her email telling me to go do that. She told me enough in the email that I really didn't need anything else. There's, in the Hausa language, there's a word, is it Ubuntu?
Ubuntu, and it's not actually Hausa, it's in South Africa.
Oh, it is? Okay. So I didn't read enough in the email to get that part. But anyway, Ubuntu, and as Angela described it, basically what it means is, without you, there really is no me. And it's a rough translation as I understand it. But what it's saying is we're all together. We're all humans. We're community and group-oriented beings. We're not here to be alone and to go through everything by ourselves. We often do that. I've done it a million times with myself. Said, who is going to commiserate with me on this? It seems so silly. I just can't open up about this because I got to do this. It's just my thing to do. Okay, you can do it that way, and people are very successful getting through their issues and stuff doing it that way. But I found in my life, and I've watched other people do this, that if you can open up, bring people in, even if it's just a vent, that it's a very powerful and cathartic way to approach your issues and your problems. Just be open about it. Use your community, use your friends, your family, especially when they're living so close together. How could you not? With 20 people potentially living in a single hut. How cool is that? I mean, in a lot of ways it's inconvenient if you tend to look at it that way, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's a really great way to be in a community all the time, so you're always supported, even when you maybe don't really want to be so much. There's no way you can get away from that assistance, that resource, that help. And again, back up here, help out. In my opinion, your greatest resource, having said all of that, and I want you to hold that and use it, but you've got to trust in yourself too. If you're really going to get to the core of the fear and stay in the moment so that you can release that fear and get making those fear centers in your body, is to trust in yourself, open to what really is in your path according to your soul's essence. What is it that you're really supposed to be doing? Well, Eric, I think I am. There's the word, think. I'm not talking about what your brain says, oh, well, I should do this, or that sounds good to me, I will go do that. It's the feeling of, what is my heart saying? What does it feel like to make this decision? How does it feel to decide to go and experience this new thing? I haven't heard anybody yet that's really gone too far wrong with that, if at all, because when you're listening to your heart, yeah, changes are going to come. Don't get me wrong. With changes, there are always new challenges that come along. But if you're making the decisions based on what your heart's essence and your soul's essence is, they become challenges rather than issues and problems. So they're things you might actually even really love to work with instead of having to work on. It's all semantics, but the way we use our language is very, very powerful in how we hear ourselves and then how we continue to move forward or not, depending on how we look at it. So again, quiet your brain and listen to your heart. And it's not that your brain isn't important, it's a very powerful part of your psyche, and it's got a great purpose, which is, again, the creativity piece, the learning piece, and also the observer piece. And this is where the observer comes in, is that you can step back and you can say, wow, I wonder what's going to come up next. I'm curious to see what that next step might be. There's that curiosity thing, which means now you're back in the moment. You're sticking with right here and now, and not worrying about what you should do, not what you should have done, but what am I going to do, what feels like the perfect next step for me. And if you so choose, depending on what your beliefs are, you can trust in a greater plan. And whether these are religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs, not religious or spiritual beliefs, I don't care. But if you feel there is a greater plan, trust in that. Because I think there is. I don't think we're all just down here to wallow in fear and muck and garbage. I think we're here to get through some of this stuff so we can really enjoy life and have fun with it. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff that many of us are having to work through. I wouldn't keep working through it if I didn't think there was some reason to keep going and something to get to on the other side. That wouldn't make any sense to me. All right, so from there, what I'd like to do is another little experiential piece. If everybody's ready, anybody need to stand up, shake it off a little bit? Okay, we're going to go inside. We're going to tap into that inner wisdom, the trust piece. All right, let's take some deep breaths again. And whenever you're ready, it's probably best to close your eyes, whatever you're comfortable with. And as you continue to relax, I'm going to give you just a little bit of information. This is a technique from the Hawaiian culture. It's called Ho'oponopono. And you don't need to remember any of this other than the Jeepers information of it's a way that the ancient and some of the current Hawaiians still practice separating yourself from the energetic ties that we create on a daily basis to people, to things, to events, thoughts, ideas, everything. The traditional way to use it was every night before you go to sleep to perform Ho'oponopono with yourself in order to release all of those attachments so that the next day you would start fresh. No expectations, no judgments on the previous day. Starting a brand new day. Everybody back? Okay, one gone. Not sure how far she went. How do y'all feel?
Great.
Don't know yet.
Working on it.
Working on it, very good. Sometimes it takes a little. Is it okay?